That's right. Welcome back, everybody, to a Wild Wednesday. Is everybody still in a good mood? Just thought I would ask. It's been a few days. Wanted to make sure everybody's Irish juices are still flowing. Thank you for being here. So we have a lot to cover this week, the rest of this week. I want to go over the rest of what people think about Clemson. Now that we're a few days away, I want to know if any of your thoughts have changed. I want to know how they've altered over time. Dr. John, I see you. Give me a call back. What happened? You hung up on me? You're going to go play golf on me or what? Yeah, exactly. The voice is still hoarse, but it is coming back. So that's good. But I want to know how your thoughts have changed from the initial rush of this Clemson win. How has that changed for you now that you've had a few days to let that settle in? That's what I want to know. Okay, so I want to know now that we're further down the road of letting this all sink in, what your real thoughts and feelings are about it. And I also want to know about Navy. Like, we're getting really into the Clemson stuff and milking that, which is totally understandable. Totally understandable. But I also want to know if you have any Navy thoughts. Like, do you just think you hand the ball to estimate 50 times and just grind them out and win the game? Is it that simple against Navy this week? Carson Hobbs committed. Like, the recruiting seems to be taken back off. Like, all of this. All right. So let me know what you think about Navy too. We have phone calls. We're going to get to them. Dr. John first, 818-737-2224. Going to be the first ones up. So let's get through the introduction, the roll call, something unfortunate that I have to talk about and go over. Then we'll get to the calls. So on YouTube, obviously you're here. Hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps as well. Notifications on. You'll be alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it, folks. So stay tuned. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. Called in line, obviously, 312-900-8815. Give me a call. Fighting Irish Wire every day. Check it out. Okay. I got articles coming out almost every day now. Nick Shepkowski, everybody else, go check them out. So first things first, guys. Some of you have already noticed this. I am having a little bit of an issue behind the scenes with some of my YouTube stuff with Google. They changed a lot of things. A couple things popped up that messed up the back end of what I had set up. To fix this, it's possible. It's going to take some time, and I had to opt out of the Google Pay program, let it clean up, and then in a few weeks or a month, reapply, and there's no other way to do it. The point is, there is no super chats. There's no monetization till I get this all figured out and back. It's not ideal. There's no easy way to navigate what this situation is. So there's no super chats. I don't even think there's going to be ads running on my stuff until this all gets reset and refigured out. So super chat, if you want, you can't. I think PayPal is going to be the best option. I know it's not convenient because it's not in here. But I think that's what we're going to have to do if people do want to donate, which I appreciate. Geez, I got these. How do you block these spam bots? There we go. So I just wanted to cover that. It's nothing on your end. If you're noticing you can't super chat, I'm just having an issue with Google. And the only way to clean it out is to wipe out my ad account, start over in a fresh month. So for now, it's a bitter pill to swallow for me. Maybe it's better for you. You don't get any commercials. So good for you. But my PayPal's in the scroll. I think you just send it to the email account linked to PayPal. If you want, go for it. So I am, yeah, exactly. John's money laundering through the super chat. Google changed a bunch of stuff, how they do things. It got me all messed up, man. It got me all messed up. There's a problem, and then I messed with it, and now it's frozen, and I'm not happy. I spent all day dealing with this yesterday. I'm not happy. It is what it is. We're just going to keep putting out good content, and it'll all work out. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm very, very frustrated, with this. Hang with me, though, guys. It's not about the money. I'm just glad you're here, but I wanted you to know if you wanted to donate, I'm having an issue. It isn't great. All right. So we could tip you on your OnlyFans. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just start doing Always Irish and OnlyFans. Maybe that's the trip. We'll do that from now on. Kent, good to see you. Matt Miller, good to see you. Gosh, right? The regulars are here. Paul Conley, of course. Paul asked how he could super chat. What is wrong? I got problems. I'm working on it. It's going to take me some time, okay? Oh, Patrick B, here's a good one. Phone calls coming up. John, you'll be up first. 818 after that. Patrick B, John, over under 24.5 pass attempts combined for both teams. I believe I saw last week Navy had 12. Does that sound right? I'm fairly certain Navy had 12 passing attempts last week. I'm pretty sure. Listen, I'm not trying to oversimplify things. Is Navy a ball game where you just hand it to Diggs and Estime and run? Like, that's it? Because that's all you have to do? Like, or here's the next question. Are we fools for thinking, oh, it's just Navy, don't worry about it after what we just did? Like, haven't we learned our lesson with that? Is that dangerous? Or is Navy so Navy-ish this year that it doesn't matter? Like, you want to say, oh, look what we just did. No big deal. But Navy, we run it for 263 on Clemson. What are we going to put up on Navy? I don't know. But are we far enough down this road that I don't have to worry about a letdown against Navy this week? I don't know. The problem with Navy is you fumble twice, and you lose. There goes a quarter sometimes. So I don't know. It's a little wild. Here we go. Paul says, rewatch the Clemson game 4 times, still not tired of it. I'm telling you, you have no idea how many times I watched the pick 6 and the pump block. Like, if there's a limit to how many times you can watch those, I've reached them. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, let's see. All right, let's get to the phones. I'm going to highlight some of these chats so I could come back to them. Let's get this going. 612, first time talking to Dr. John since the big win. I can't wait to hear what he thinks. Good morning, John.
Good morning, John. What a freaking ball game, eh?
I'm telling you, man, that is what we've all been begging for. That's what we've waited for. That's what we asked Kelly for all these years. We finally got a complete performance against a respected, high-level opponent. What do you make of this?
Well, I'll tell you what. I hope we just crossed over the Rubicon, if you know what I mean. So,
Yep.
We had some friends over. In fact, one of the guys was actually baptized in Sacred Heart. His dad was getting a PhD there. But my pacemaker overheated about 4 times. So I was on life support for a while.
That's not very safe.
Just kidding.
That's not very safe.
No. Well, it was rocking. There was hollering, and it was just the best. But it's like, enjoy it and don't overlook Navy. I know you don't even want to play them anymore, but I was thinking about that, and this is something you need to embrace, because this to me tells you what Notre Dame is. It's loyalty. They know Navy meant a huge thing to that school. And until Navy says no mas, we're going to play them.
Yeah.
So embrace it, my friend.
Yeah, and here's what I've always said about it. I've always said about the Navy situation that I respect the story and I respect the history and I respect Notre Dame honoring it. I simply hate the way the game's played. Like both can be true. Totally respect the backstory of the matchup. That doesn't change it. Every time we play them, I hate the way the game is played. It shortens Notre Dame's margin for error because how much time they eat up with the ball. And I don't like the unique wear and tear physically on our players. It is a different kind of physical battle when you play Navy, and it has different physical effects. Sometimes a hangover the next week, injuries. I don't like it. So I respect the story. You know, I love Notre Dame history, so I like that. I just hate the way the game is physically played. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I know. And there's one thing that you got to do different in this game too. I mean, I know you always like to defer, but when you're playing Navy, if you win the toss, you better take the ball.
That one may be different. Especially, Dr. John, especially if the plan is we're going to get the ball and then hand it to Estime for 8 yards to carry right up the gut down the field and score. Should that be Notre Dame's plan this week? Should you just pound them? You ran it for 263 on Clemson, who was supposed to be pretty darn good. What can you do this week?
Well, we're going to have a huge weight advantage, but these guys play for real. I mean, they're outgunned, but they never give up. So you just can't overlook them.
Yeah, and somebody said that their quarterback went down last week. Like, when we get done with this, I'm going to do my research and put together the pregame show. I haven't gone over all their info yet, but it looks like their quarterback went down. I mean, they barely pass anyway. So unless it's a matter of him taking it and pulling it or who he's giving it to, I don't know what to expect with that quarterback change. Also, John, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm so excited about Clemson still. Isn't this a fairly early start? It's an 11 or a noon start, right? So you're going a little early. It could be a little tricky or not. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we had an early start a couple of weeks ago, too.
Yeah. It's just
Syracuse game is really early.
John, are we fools at all for thinking, all right, now we've turned a corner. Now we're going to have good play every week? Like, as much as I love that Clemson situation, I'm not thinking that that's what we're going to get every week. I think that was a very unique environment and setup and mindset that led to all that. You can't recreate that energy against Navy and Baltimore. It's not possible. But you got to do enough to come in there and be ready to go. And I'm hopeful we come out with the new energy, feeling good about ourselves, some new, swag. I hope to see some energy carry over.
Well, you know what? There's some different games. You win something, but you really don't get the win until you verify it. And that's what we got to do. If we turn the corner, well, let's verify it this week.
Yeah.
Play the same kind of game against Navy, smash mouth, and let those special teams do some magic again.
Yeah, for sure. It's wild. I actually, I think 6 a.m. this morning, my article went up on Fighting Irish Wire, and it was all about breaking down that pump block unit. I went over how Brian Mason before the game was telling the players if they get backed up in the 20s and they're punting, they have this odd look that I think we could get home on, but it's only going to be if they're backed up. But if they do this look, we're going to get it and bring it to the house. 1 hour later, it exactly played out in the biggest game we have left. It's beautiful. You know what it's called, Dr. John? Good coaching. It's called real good coaching. And I love every single thing about it. Everything.
Well, I'll tell you what, I watched, I didn't see it live, but I watched Freeman's news conference, actually read the transcript for Monday. And if you read that, boy, I'll tell you what, that sounded like a guy has crossed over. He's feeling like a head coach. I really think he is.
You said he crossed over like he
and-
died and ascended into Notre Dame coaching heaven. And then he comes back down, and then he comes back down and blesses us with these performances. I like it. I like it.
Well, I'm going to probably offend some people now in the Holtz
Good
fan club, but Freeman to me is like Era was. I mean, when you saw Era, you just felt this man is genuine. He is a good person and a hell of a coach.
Yep.
And Holtz was a hell of a coach. I cannot take that away from him, but I have some axes to grind with him. When he was fired at Arkansas, I was living in Minnesota, and that's who I wanted to coach Notre Dame. And of course, there was all this stuff. Faust wouldn't give up his last 2 years. So Holtz goes to Minnesota with the idea that in 2 years, if Notre Dame calls, he's going to go. Fine. But then my son was going to school at Minnesota. Holtz cleared students out of two floors in a dorm so he could put his football team in there. So that got me on the negative side. And then when he tried to get Randy Moss into school after Randy Moss's history, as far as a person, I lost it. I can't take anything away from him as a coach. He's just a hell of a coach. But I'll tell you what, give me Era in the person of Freeman any day.
Yeah, John, I'm telling you, my skill set's limited with analyzing film or breaking down coverages and stuff like that. That's not my strength in covering Notre Dame. My angle is more how everything makes you feel. And I'm very tuned into that. And I'm telling you, it was cathartic being there Saturday. It was like a group healing session, like scar tissue just being shed. Like just seeing what could be possible on the high end of Notre Dame, just seeing it one time is enough for people to see it really can be like that more often. Like the belief that this injected into the program and the Freeman era is hugely important for everything moving forward. It was needed and it was loved. It was beautiful.
And with 60 recruits there, it was perfect timing.
I'm telling you, you couldn't have timed that out any better. And a lot of those guys, Clemson's going after too. That's the double beautiful part, What a great gamble. That could go against you. You have all those guys there and lay an egg. It was beautiful. Magical moment. All those recruits. I mean, it was just a special night. And I'm happy for Freeman. I bet you he could take a sigh of relief now. It takes some of the questions off him. Now it's just all what's next. Oh, yeah. How good can this be? What's coming next?
Well, and we're gonna see some of that on Saturday, the way we play Navy. If we come out and play with the energy we played with on Saturday, it's gonna be a tsunami the rest of the year, I think. So
yeah. Anyway, and you know what else, John? John, think about it. Think about it. So you got that big Clemson upset win. You go in there with some energy and physically, dominate Navy. BC's not very great. I mean, you're setting yourself up for a heck of a matchup with USC, with us trending straight up. If you can run this line out the rest of these games, that could be a huge weekend in LA. Huge.
Oh, man. You got it.
And I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm looking at that track. That could be a big, big game.
Oh, yeah. You can't help it. You can't help it. But looking ahead to that, I'm already looking at it too. And I'll be back in Montana with my crew. At least two of my daughters, so
that'll be great.
That energy can translate to the Coliseum too.
John, they always say, you can't look ahead. You can't look ahead. You can't look ahead. Well, the last time I checked, I'm not a player or a coach. So I can look ahead all I want because I don't have to go out there and perform. It's like people always say, John, you can't look ahead. I'm like, who's you? I can look ahead all I want. I don't have any responsibilities to beat Navy. Like, I mean, I can look at whatever I want, you know? But I understand this. I understand this sentiment. So I didn't want to cut you off. Where were you going?
No. Well, I just got 3 housekeeping things to take care of. One of them is Kent. Hi, Kent. I just hope that he has got some kind of a workout program over the off season, because I don't want some wuss pushing me around that campus. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
That's just a word of advice.
John, imagine the photo op of me, you, and Kent. You want to talk about 3 guys that don't look like they should belong in the same circle. Me, you, and Kent, and we're gonna light South Bend on fire, baby. Me, you, and Kent. We're gonna cause all sorts of troubles. They're gonna kick you out of the bars on Eddy Street at about 3 a.m. We're gonna light the town on fire.
Well, I hope we hit the linebacker.
There you go. There you go.
Anyway, you know, I'm going to Ireland for the Navy game with my daughter and my asshole brother. And anyway, when he heard the show last week, he called me and kind of upbraided me. And I said, well, now I got to go to that OSU game. I'm living on a fixed income. He said, yeah, start a GoFundMe.
There you go. Oh man. But,
anyway,
hey,
maybe I'll make that my daughter's game too. I don't know. That's that. I know if I go to some lesser games, I can get 6 tickets, you know, right from the lottery. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm a novice in this super chat stuff.
Yeah.
What's the magic of the 99 cents? I don't understand that.
I have no idea either. And I'm having an issue with Google, and I can't even accept super chats right now anyway. So don't worry about it for now, John. Yeah. Like, I got an issue with some stuff they did on the back end, and it's going to take some time to clean it out. So for now, there is no super chat. Everybody just gets their voice heard no matter what.
Okay, well, I don't have to worry about it till Notre Dame beats the spread on Saturday. So
yeah, there you go.
I'm not worried about it right now. Okay, the last thing is a legalese type thing. You know, on my my signature, Dr. John, I've got that ND after it. I know a lot of people are thinking that means Notre Dame, but it's a legal thing I had to put in there. It's actually Latin. It's Novus Doctorale, which means I'm not a doctor.
There you go. I
just needed to point that out because there seemed to be some confusion.
No. You're our doctor. And we don't okay. and your specialty just depends on the week. It depends on what we need. You're the doctor. It just depends on what we need. All right. But John, I want to tell you this. I want to tell you this.
What we need now is another convincing win on Saturday. That's what we need.
There you go. That's what we need.
My boy,
hey,
always a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure you got a bunch of people lined up.
Let me finish with this. Hold on. Let me finish with this.
Okay. All right.
I got to tell you, I've never met you in person. I've gotten to know you on these calls on this show this year. I want you to know you entered my mind Saturday night. I did think of you, and I knew you were going to be happy. And I knew you were going to be happy for me. And I know you know the history of all this stuff more than most. And I just want you to know that you were in my mind, and I knew you were enjoying this. And I'm glad that we connected, John. I mean that.
Well, I appreciate that because it came the other way too. I knew you were there. I knew you were probably coming out of your skull. It was fantastic. It was just fantastic.
It really was.
Anyway, partner, get that super chat thing fixed by Monday.
I'm trying. Google's not easy to work with, John. Google is not the easiest company to work with, so I'm trying. Might take me some time to figure out their issue, but I'll let everybody know when I'm back for sure.
Well, maybe I'll just send you like 10 $1 hot stuffs at McDonald's.
Beautiful. There you go, man. McDoubles for sure. Thanks a lot, John. Have a good week.
Buddy.
We'll see you.
Hey, love you, man. Bye-bye.
Take care, man. I'm telling you, that is my surrogate grandfather. I am convinced. Like all my grandparents are deceased. My Notre Dame people, older people, they're gone. John's it. I'm not kidding. I look at him as my Notre Dame grandfather now, like filling that role. I love that guy. I'm serious. Kent, we're partying, man. Me, you, John, we're partying for sure for the Iowa State game. 818-737-2224. You're coming up next. What a great call. I just wanted to hear from him. He really did cross my mind. And you know what else? They were talking about, he said, I'm sure you were losing your mind at the game. You know what? I'm telling you the truth. I was legitimately out of breath by the time the pick six got returned all the way to the end zone. Absolutely out of breath from just, I don't even know what happened. Just jumping and running and just, I was out of breath. It was the best. It's just the best. Just the best. We need more moments like that, folks. This is what Notre Dame football should look like and feel like and be like. I know you can't get that kind of energy every week, but Notre Dame should have that kind of vibe more often than we've had it. And now we have a taste of it and we want more. Now we have a taste of it and we want more for sure. 818-737-2224. 818 first. Anybody else want to jump in? Give me a call. 818, what's going on?
Yo, what's up, my man?
What's going on, buddy? It was good seeing you over the weekend. I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out.
Your family's great, man. Your mom's awesome. Your brother, I mean, everybody. It was just really nice time. So yeah, that was awesome. That was great.
So hey, we listen, Rodney, we separated, went our separate ways, and then the ball game happened. Let's reconnect. What are your thoughts about what you saw?
You remember on Wednesday, whatever day it was, I think it was Wednesday, I called in and I said, my gut's telling me this is going to be a 10-17 point victory. I said that. And I said, I really feel that way. And then my Notre Dame side took over. And I got, okay, we can't have nice things. That's just,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like,
yeah.
And so I still thought I couldn't get, are we going to win a close one then? Are we going to lose a close one? I kept going back and forth. And of course, I want to believe we're going to. And then I came back before the game to that gut feeling I had. You know what? And this was on the day of, after I left your house. I was like, I just got a feeling about today, man. I mean, it's the thing is that I couldn't justify it in my head. I mean, you kind of could, this is what they did last week versus, but then it was like, well, but this is what Clemson's good at. And Dad was going to have him ready.
Yeah.
And then Notre Dame just did even more than what I thought. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, I was right all along, but they went even a step further to the point where once again, man, they were dominating that game in every phase, but yet it was still close. I'm like, and it was just like, what? Oh, I get such a bad feeling for a while. I couldn't get it out of my head. I'm like, at what point is this going to turn and Clemson's going to start to get it? And we're only going to be up by 2 touchdowns. And so in that, I think it was the estimate run where they went up 21-0. That made me feel a lot better because it was just kind of a 2-touchdown game for a while, and then it was like.
But you know what, Rodney? Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
When it was only 14-0, like that's not enough, obviously to feel comfortable. But man, they were not doing anything on offense that scared you. Like I was like, 14 isn't enough. But these guys looked on offense how we look on offense every time we play a good team. It was totally flipped. They looked like us, not able to get anything done, not able to change to anything else. It was gorgeous. I loved every second.
Well, and which is why, absolutely, but what I kept going in the back of my mind is, when are they going to bring in the backup? And is the backup going to look, because I guess that's who played really well the week before or whatever, I guess.
I thought that too.
And so that's in my head, and then he just threw an interception. And so I'm like, okay, now I feel, okay, now I'm cool. And then, of course, the interception happened. What a play. I mean, just what a play. It's weird when you see players just come alive before your eyes. Like someone, it's almost like they need that one game, that breakout game to then believe in themselves, that little extra much that then just carries them through the rest of their career. You know what I'm saying? And I think we saw that with Benjamin Morrison. That's going to be the next great defensive back. I think he just had to have that, again, playing real well, but just that one game where it was a breakout just came to play. Man, I can't say enough good things, John. The offensive line is legitimately a great unit.
Listen, they earned it. Rodney, they earned it. They earned it. I give them all. Right. You follow my show a long enough to know that I always get mad about us calling ourselves O-line U, but in the biggest games of the year, we run it for 42 yards. That is not my definition. I'm serious.
You're right.
Look at those Georgia games. 56 yards rushing, O-line U. No, that's not O-line U. 263 against Clemson's O-line U. They earned it, and they deserved it this week, and they're playing great, and they're moving people around, and we've been begging for it, and we finally got it, and I love it, and I want to see more.
Well, and John, I think it goes back to you have so much time to practice, right? You have to choose certain things you're going to go at. You want to be more balanced, or do you want to just really focus on this one area and get really good at it? And I think they just decided, you know what? This is who we are. We're just going to be better than everybody else. I love that. And they have the talent on the offensive line to back that up. And at running back and, at tight end. I love the way this team is starting to look, with the obvious exception of we're low on talent at the quarterback position. Duke Bryant, man, played a great game within with their ass. He didn't have any interceptions.
Yep.
Didn't fumble the ball.
Made the throws he absolutely had to make.
Man. God bless him for that.
Yep. He did.
And he didn't get, and the moment wasn't too big for him.
Yeah, he did. I mean?
That meant a lot to me, man.
We said, in the pregame, one of my bullet points, 5 things Notre Dame has to do to win. One of them was you need to limit your reliance on Pine's arm to be in position to win this game. And what that meant is you have to run the ball very, very well, and they did it. And that enabled Pine to deliver some passes when he needed to. It's unbelievable, Rodney. I'm not used to giving Notre Dame a path to win a big game and then looking back at it and going, I'll be damned. They did every single one of them really well. It blows my mind. I don't remember ever saying that in a big game. In a big game, no way. Again, they did everything they needed to do to win. It was beautiful.
Well, yeah, because I remember saying when I predicted the day I said 10 to 17 points, whatever, I said probably a block punt for a touchdown or a return for a touchdown, something like that.
You got both.
To make it get right, and you got both. And so that's the thing, man. It was such a. Even though, like I said, there were moments where I felt like, okay, they could have been up by 4 scores early on. Again, so there was still a little bit of that, but they still won every quarter. You know what I'm saying? That was the thing that was so beautiful. They played a complete game. Because, even though Clemson did not look good in this game, that was Notre Dame's reason that they weren't looking good. They still Notre Dame controlled, but Clemson's still a competitive team. There were still moments where, they didn't just give in. I give them that. But Notre Dame just beat them in every phase of the game. Just every phase of the game. So, okay. Leapfrogging. So happy for Marcus Freeman, man. I'm so happy for him because you might be seeing. I mean, it's like a baby. When you see your baby grow up. Notre Dame has embraced this guy. He's embraced Notre Dame. And we're seeing all these moments happening right now and seeing it happen in real time. The maturation of him as a coach. And, dude, there's just a body language difference in him now. You can see that there's a little nervousness. You can feel it. You can feel early on. And he's starting to get it. And he's getting a little – and I just love the way his body language is, man. And after the game, I just had to say that. That's just in the Eric Parsegian comparison. That's really interesting because I didn't see Eric coach. I heard him talk a lot in the booth and the press box and things after games or at halftime of games during the Lou Holtz era. And he seems like such a great guy, but I never, literally saw him coach. And gee, bring that on. I'm here for all that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a beautiful moment, man. A beautiful moment. Happy for Tommy Rees. My God, I'll say it right now, man. Great called game. It was a brilliantly called game, and it was a brilliantly executed offensive game plan for what they had on paper.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
they outcoached Dabo Swinney, who is a championship proven pedigree head coach. They outcoached him. He had no answers. He looked frustrated. They had nothing. They had nowhere to go. They tried the quarterback switch. That burned them right away. Like, they had no answers. It's very, very impressive. Notre Dame staff out-coached these guys, and they were coming off a bye. Clemson had an extra week to prepare for this, and that's what they came up with. It's very impressive. I know they have issues. Clemson does. They're a little off this year. Not our problem. It's our job to take advantage of it, and we did. So it was beautiful. And Notre Dame now has blowout wins against both the leaders of the divisions of the ACC. Talk to me more about how great that conference is.
Well, yeah, I mean, this year, but it's, man, this is so, I hope we're not setting ourselves up for a letdown. I don't think that's going to happen now, but I didn't see that happening after the Marshall thing. I didn't think that we would do that to Stanford, but I really do think we've gotten that out of our system, I hope.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean this isn't going to come by us in the butt again somewhere down the line, but I don't think it'll be this year, which means, I think that it's weird because both teams have the same game plan this week. Maybe, grind it out, but grind it out.
Yeah.
We just can't make mistakes. That's the big thing.
Yep.
And then going through Boston College, that's not a good Boston College team, man. That's
right.
A good Stanford team. I get that.
You know what makes me feel better about playing Navy? Up until this game, this Clemson game, I felt like Notre Dame's tackling at times was kind of loose, not that sharp. Those guys were on it. They were crisp tackling, standing guys up and gang tackling them. Like, the tackling was the best I've seen it in a long time. That needs to carry over, because that's one thing you can't do against Navy. Not get the guy after the first hit. There's a lot of hidden yardage in the way Navy runs. And I like that as well. I want to see how crisp we are. Do we ride this momentum and come in there fired up, ready to kind of make it an extension of last week? Or is it, we're feeling ourselves and we're sleepwalking? I'm very interested to see how this starts.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. There's always that fear of, okay, you got yourself up for this game. God, it's hard to be at that level emotionally and then carry on through. So, yeah, I am a little concerned. I know, again, though, because it's happened twice to them now, like I said earlier, John, I told you, I said, yes, this sucks. I mean, there's no question, losing to Stanford after losing to Marshall, it sucks. There's no question of that. But if it, at least it's happening now, and they're seeing it happen twice. So it's not like you can't think that, okay, what was the problem? Oh man, if we had just addressed this. But it's like it happened twice. So I think that will play a role in it not happening again. But man, so I'm thinking ahead because, like you said, we're fans. Although it's funny you said that, because don't you feel sometimes like, well, even when you're at your house watching the game, that you want to feel in your head that there's some greater consciousness that you're kind of affecting everything. So you can't look ahead, or maybe they will somehow in this greater Notre Dame consciousness.
I know.
I get that feeling. But, logically speaking, it's looking ahead to USC. Wow. That could be a class. I just got a feeling it's going to be a classic. I don't think it's going to be a beatdown. I think there's going to be two teams that are going to come to play.
And you know what's funny about it?
They're going to play their best.
Here's what's funny about it. like I said to Dr. John, 737, you're up next. 224 after that. Also, Paul Conley, you said you're going to be in the Chicago suburbs for business coming up. Let me know. We'll meet up for dinner or lunch, breakfast, whatever. If you're in my area, Paul, you donate every time I'm allowed to accept donations on here. You donate, and I appreciate it. We'll go out to lunch. Let me know. But Rodney, it's like, well, you can't look ahead. Who's you? I'm not playing Saturday. I can look ahead to USC all I want. Like, I see that being Notre Dame trying to run the ball and them trying to pass the ball. Like, I really see that as a battle of strengths. Notre Dame doing it that way, them wanting to pass the ball. I'm going to tell you this, though. Notre Dame's secondary was very physical against Clemson. In a way, I have not seen Notre Dame's secondary beat. They were draping guys all over them and hitting them and sticking them. It was beautiful.
Again, you're seeing the emergence of I think a great unit. I think the secondary has now hit because they've played well all year long.
And Morrison's a freshman. That's the best part. He was making game-changing plays.
I love the way this unit's playing, John. I love the way that unit's playing.
Yeah.
And the special teams, it feels like, let me make this comparison. It's like maybe having, because John can attest to that. I can't, Dr. John. Maybe it's like having a mixture of the personality and lovability of Eric Parsegian with the team identity of Lou Holtz, because that was their identity, was power running, special teams, playing tough, like bend don't break defense. You know what I mean? Like, good defense, but man, bring it on, man. I love it. I love that. I just love the style. Again, we're 6-3, but man, if we can, even if we're 8, John, if we lost that USC game real close, what I love is I know now this is what we can, I think, take a deep breath in. We were worried. Was this the right guy? This was the right guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought of that too. Whatever else happens this year, you got what you were kind of promised and hoping you were going to get out of Freeman, which was a higher potential ceiling. Like, that is the deal we all made, losing Kelly's experience, but gaining a guy we thought could provide more upside because of his energy and the way he recruits. The way he recruits is going to take a couple years to really show, but we saw that upside. He has a more impressive win than anything I saw from Kelly in over a decade. Right away. That tells me there's a higher potential with this guy. And Rodney, here's the most important part. He did it with the least talented Irish team he's ever going to have. He got his least. Every team Freeman has is going to have more talent than this, especially offensively. So he got this performance out of this group, and it's going to be by far his weakest roster and quarterback of his Notre Dame tenure. That is perhaps my biggest takeaway from all this. It's great.
That's a wonderful way to frame it. That's a wonderful way to frame it.
It's true. This is by far his weakest team by far.
With one possible exception, and that one possible exception maybe being from the offensive line to the tight end. I don't know that you're going to have 6 guys that good. Maybe, but everything else, right? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that's what you're seeing. It's
Rodney.
Beautiful.
It was. I don't know, man. It was cathartic. It was like a group counseling session. It just felt like so much of these big game frustrations, decade on decade, opportunity after opportunity, we don't take advantage of it. It was just like you shed some of that, and it just made you realize it is possible for Notre Dame to win these games and get national credit for playing great. Like, we just haven't seen it for so long. This rejuvenated everything around Notre Dame football. The fan base, it rejuvenated everything. It's a big deal.
That a step further, if I may. Absolutely. And here's the thing, and this is what I mean by this, dude. Listen, think about how you're feeling right now, all right? When you say there's nothing to play for, and people say, no, it doesn't work that way, especially in its coach's first year. We have an opportunity. This was when things were really bad. Now, I could see it getting worse at that point, but I'm like, but to say that the hope is that there's nothing no, that is not true. Because now what happens, John, you got top 5 win now over Clemson. My God, that felt good. That's like a bowl game victory, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's say we do go on and then win the next 2 games and then beat USC in a classic game. Now you got 2 games of a bowl field win. Now, and you probably go on to play a really solid,
bowl game.
Wow. Think about this, John. Ryan Kelly's LSU Tigers against Notre Dame. Well, that's a marquee matchup. Let's say that happened.
Could you imagine?
Awesome.
Could you imagine that year one right out of the gates? And
man.
But if you, depending on what happens with LSU, we may end up. That's a unique angle. I'm just saying, if that happened, yeah. All right, let me finish with this, Rodney. Notre Dame now ranked 20th. Feels good just to see a number by the name again, doesn't it?
Oh my God, John! I didn't even. I mean, I knew I hadn't checked it yet. You know, I figured they were.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that I felt like somewhere between 18 and 22 is probably where they deserve to be. And okay, 20. That's great. That's great. Yeah, it is nice, John. It is.
Yeah, it's just good to get back into that, where we've been so used to being all these years. So, Rodney,
I think that's a fair ranking. I think that's fair.
Yeah. And you got 3 losses. 2 of them are terrible. You can't ask for too much. So I think they got appropriate credit. I think they got appropriate credit for winning this game, but also considering what they've done.
It's also kind of ranking that it's kind of like, okay, here you go. But you're better than that. And they got a chance to probably finish, from top 15 before the season's out.
Yeah.
It's pretty good considering.
It's very good. Yeah. It's considering that before mid-October, you add those 3 losses, that would be unbelievable. So let's go for it. So thanks for calling, Rodney. It was good seeing you, man. Have a good day.
You too, man. This was fun. Enjoy it. An ND Nation, enjoy this. That was a lot of fun.
Yep. We finally get something good to enjoy. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good day.
You got it, bud.
See ya.
Have a good day.
737-224-618-574. You're going to be the next 4. Let's see. I thought LSU should be ranked 4th. No, you didn't, Brad. No, you didn't. Did you? How could you with a couple losses? I can't justify that. What else did I have here? I started something that I wanted to go over when he was talking. Joe Wilkins. People were asking what happened with Joe Wilkins. I don't know what happened. He had some injury problems and then depth chart problems and wants to conserve the year. That's what I gather. Like, I don't think it's all drama, but it's just injury and then depth chart. And then before you know it, it's just like, what are we doing here? Want a new opportunity, I guess. Right? All right, let's go back. I want to get these calls in. 737. What's going on today?
Hey, John. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am not used to be feeling this great. Where are you at on all this? How are you doing?
Man, I feel good. I mean, I've probably watched the game. I've watched the game twice. Obviously, like you looked at that interception. I got to tell you, I love that little short you put up that shows kind of that Bruno Mars song, the kind of the light show.
Oh yeah,
Dancing, the pick, Freeman. That was awesome. Check that out. As well.
I just wanted to show that energy. Like, the energy was the best part of all of that. And there was just a lot of it in that building. And it was a unique energy. It was an elite game-winning energy, not anything else. Like, it has its own feel, and we haven't had it in forever. And it was so refreshing to feel.
Yeah, that's what we've been missing out on, is that energy under Brian Kelly. I always felt like we never really had it. It just was never there. You could see it. You could feel it, the lack thereof, or the speed. I'm watching the defense. The defense was so fast. As far as tackles go, man, that was the best they've been, by far all year. They were in great spots. They were making great angles. They were tackling first tackle, and then guys are coming in to clean up. I mean,
they were doing all of those things. And earlier in the year, I felt like the tackling was sloppy. The angles, there was too many bad angles. I didn't see the intensity. And the other issue is, early in the year, some of these guys were like, you could see them working through it in their brains rather than just reacting and making a play. Like, I felt like there was a 1-second hitch of like them thinking, and then it was too late. And then out of nowhere, it all came together. They played sharp, great football.
Yeah, that was the best I've seen him. Before the year started, that's the expectation that I had for the defense. I mean, you would think that the defense would be the anchor, just knowing what Freeman's background was. So, like everybody said, I think it all came to fruition on Saturday. We needed it. It was awesome. I think the part that bothers me the most is, man, Notre Dame gets no play. There's a few out there that are giving them some of what is due in terms of, they'll talk about Clemson and then they'll say, and frankly speaking, they just got their ass kicked. But there's others out there that are, just dismantling Clemson like they were terrible. They had a 14-game win streak. It's not like they're a lightweight. It's just, I think it was such a thorough beatdown that people are saying it's more Clemson and less Notre Dame, which is not the case. I think anybody that says that clearly has not watched the game. You watch that game, there's no doubt what happened during that game. Notre Dame came out ready to play, hyped up, pumped, and then just took it to them. And that was exactly what was needed,
Yeah, it really was. And I'm happy for Freeman. He can just any of the questions, if he's going to figure this out, do we have the wrong guy? What's the learning curve? Just tamping out some of those flames it helps everything. It stabilizes recruiting. It puts Marcus in a more comfortable place in all of our minds. It was just a big win and just a great moment. And there's the best part is this is the worst Irish team Freeman's going to have by far. Every other team he has is going to have more talent. And if he was able to get this performance out of this group that is limited, what's he going to do when he has a roster that he handpicks and loves? Like that's the best part to me is this is not the peak. This is a marking point climbing up it. And that's very important.
Yeah, this is the jumping off point. I think everybody's got to take a deep breath and kind of look at it as well. Human nature. When things are bad, we think it's going to last forever. When things are good, we think it's going to last forever. So when we lost to Stanford, we're like, oh my God, we're not going to we're going to go 500. We're going to go less than 500. We beat Clemson, and all of a sudden now everybody's, oh man, we're gonna win out. We're gonna do all the stuff. I think we all need to slow down a little bit and just kind of, and this goes for the team as well. Everybody needs to slow down a little bit and just concentrate on what is going on. Next week, like Notre Dame. I'm watching this game, and I'm finished watching it. And I was like, that was amazing, and it was amazing. I keep getting flashbacks like Florida State. And then Boston College the next week. You know what I mean? Like that letdown game.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this. And I mean this dead serious. I don't feel that kind of pressure the rest of the year. And the reason is we're not undefeated with the season and a championship hanging in the balance the rest of this year. Like I honestly don't feel the same amount of anxiety everybody else does about the rest of these games because you don't have a championship appearance hanging in the balance. Yeah, you want to win them and you can't lose them, but it isn't like BC where, oh my God, we lose this game and the title dreams are dashed. They're already dashed. So you're playing with a little bit of house money here the rest of the year because you just got an impressive win, but unfortunately you wrecked what it could turn into earlier in the year. So I don't feel the same amount of pressure playing the rest of this string of games at the same time, win all three of them. Right?
Yeah. I don't disagree in terms of the pressure. I just think we've seen, I mean, at this point in the year, we've been through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. So we can go anyway. I'm hoping that they saw and felt the energy that they had and what that did for them. Like, I'm hoping that's one of those things where, they say like greatness lives with you forever.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's one of those things where they had that, they saw it, they felt it. And now they're saying, okay, this is what it feels like. And this is what it does. So we'll see. Navy did lose their quarterback from what I understand. And I understand they took a few other significant injuries last week. So they're going to be, probably not at 100% when we see them. But I don't want to take them for granted. I think that's, it's probably what I'm worried about the most. The crazy thing too is I'm watching some stuff yesterday, certainly after the rankings came out. Love that we're ranked again. I think if we were to win out and then win a bowl game, I think we're a top 10 team again.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have 10 wins on top of that, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you could still get to 10, extend that streak that looked impossible to extend. The 5 years of 10 or more wins. You know, mid-October, you're like, well, there goes that streak. They still have a chance to pull it off. It'd be miraculous if they could string together all those wins in a row to do it. So what's your biggest takeaway for this week? What are you looking at with this Navy game? Is it you want to see if we start with the energy we had last week? Or like what are you trying to see this week? Because that energy just isn't going to be the same. You can't manufacture it. Navy and Baltimore at noon isn't Clemson at your place when they're undefeated and ranked 4th. So what's your mind frame entering the game this week?
I want to see how they come out. You know, you can't match that. An 11 o'clock game in Baltimore, you know what I mean? And to try to expect it to match the night game versus the number 4 team in the country who's undefeated. Like you're living in the fantasy world if you think that that's the case. I would like to see them come out. And I'd like to see that, again, depending on what happens, I want to see the defense obviously take control of the game and really be the ones who are dictating what's happening. Because that's what's going to be the piece that drives us for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, hey, you know, maybe Pine's able to try some new things, maybe open it up a little bit. If the score gets up there, I'd love to see Angeli come in and take a few snaps and see what his arm looks like. And kind of go through a few things. But I don't know if that happens. That's if the score dictates it. You know, meaning like if it's even close, you're never going to see Angeli come in there. We need to win the next 3 games and finish out strong. It's like defense. I think defense needs to come out and be great. The offense is just going to be what it is.
Well, what it is might be good enough to what it is. It should be good enough to beat Navy. So run the ball for 400 yards and call it a day. And then if you could get Angeli in there and work on some things, go for it. So, but I'm telling you this, I'm going to turn on the TV before that game feeling a lot better about everything than I did before any other game the rest of this year. So things are trending up, my friend. I'm excited and better things are to come. We're just getting started.
Yeah, it's funny. I can't wait till we get to USC because everybody's already putting USC in the top 4. You're watching the rankings last night. They're like, well, when USC gets in, and they like everybody's. You know, it's funny. Everybody writes off Notre Dame, but like I said, if you watch that game versus Clemson, I don't think you could write off Notre Dame if they come out like that in any way, shape, or form. So I will say too. I'd love to see LSU because if LSU loses to Georgia, which is obviously a possibility because Georgia's just, I think, the standard right now of what elite is. If LSU loses to them, they're a 3-loss team. We win out, we're a 3-loss team. Man, how many people would just go crazy to see that bowl game?
Yeah. To say there would be plenty of storylines would be underestimating it. Yeah, that is wild, and it is on the table. So I don't know. It's going to be wild, but things are trending up. Thanks for the call today, my friend. I really appreciate it.
John, always appreciate the time. Always appreciate the guest that you have. And we'll talk soon, man. Go Irish.
Go Irish. It's a good week. We're in a good mood. I'm not used to it. Take care, my friend. Great call. Thank you very much. Oh, we got some troll 224-618-574 next. We got some trolls. We got trolls up in the chat, and I got one I'm going to address, and it's going to be funny. Here we go. Here's the one. Dwayne Official. I'm assuming he's an LSU guy, LSU helmet there, so he's an LSU guy. Brian Kelly made a great decision leaving. BK. Brian Kelly made a great decision leaving, period. BK. Over everybody. LSU. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Brian Kelly did make a great decision leaving Notre Dame because he quit trying at Notre Dame. Do you understand, Dwayne? He did make a great decision leaving. He quit putting the effort in that it took to get the program to the next level. The man quit trying. He did like an accountant in an office building in Schaumburg, Illinois. He quit his job. He did, Dwayne. He did. So yes, he made a great decision leaving because he wasn't putting in the effort it takes to win at Notre Dame. So I agree with you. Great decision leaving because he was a prick and he didn't win and he wasn't trying to do anything to change it. So yes, correct. Great decision. See ya in the swamps, pal. Bye. Oh, he beat Alabama. Brian Kelly's trending up. LSU's going to be good. Good for Brian Kelly. Good for Brian Kelly. If all that's happening, he beat Alabama. Didn't do it here. Was never going to do it here. Wasn't. Oh, John, Notre Dame held him back. Wasn't. No. Notre Dame did not hold Brian Kelly back. Brian Kelly held Brian Kelly back at Notre Dame by the way he operated and treated people. Okay? He can win 5 championships at LSU the next 5 years. And I will tell you, I don't care. I don't miss him. I don't want him back. What do you not understand? The man quit trying hard at his job. I would literally ask, what is Kelly doing with this recruit and that quarterback? Nothing was the answer. Nothing. Not building relationships. Not flying to see him. Not texting back and forth. Nothing. That's what Brian Kelly was doing to recruit elite quarterbacks. Sit back and try and be the closer. No. So I agree with you, Dwayne, 100%. He made a great decision leaving because he was no longer doing all he could to make Notre Dame better. So whatever he does at LSU, it doesn't affect me in that way. Like, he was never going to do it here. He quit trying. Like, if a guy is putting in the effort and not getting the results, I could be more open to it. Brian Kelly was documented just not recruiting and developing. So, see you later. Glad he's gone. What else? We're going to go back to the calls. 224. ND Scoop and all this euphoria. Let's not forget QB play is what ultimately gets Notre Dame across the finish line. TR has proven he's not the guy for that job. Listen, I mentioned this. 224, you're coming up next in a minute. I mentioned this. This is the best part about this entire dynamic is a few days down the road now, I'm in a clearer, less emotional spot to think about this. Here's the deal. The best part about this win is how limited the Notre Dame roster is, and they still did it. This was not me saying Freeman has the best roster he's ever going to have. This is a playoff winning team, and this is the year. No. That is the number one biggest factor of all this. This is the worst team he's ever going to have, and he got him to play this good. This is the worst quarterback play Freeman's going to have, and they still managed to do this. It's very, very impressive. It is. 224-618. 224 now, 618. Somebody dropped off. Give me a call back. I'll get you on. 224, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening, John? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm feeling good. I got a pep in my step in an Irish way that I'm not used to. How about you?
Oh, I'm feeling the same. It's been a great start to the week after last week. I mean, Monday was a phenomenal day to wake up, to start the work week going, we're winners. And we're winners the way we should win. So it's been a great week so far.
Yeah, I just feel like everybody needed this. It was like a reset. It was like either a reset or a starting. It almost felt like that was the official beginning of the Freeman era in a way. You know, did you feel that emotion as well? It almost felt like the official, unofficial start of something to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's what we talked about Monday when I called you and we I told you that's what I felt like it was, because having the recruits there on a game like this, we got a reset on, recruiting had been in a kind of a dead lull for a while. And to have 60 plus recruits there, have a game like that, it reset that. It reaffirmed to the kids that have committed to the 2023 class why the hashtag Freeman era thing got started. It wasn't just a hashtag. It's a new culture. It's a new brand. It's a new everything.
That's a good way to put it.
Notre Dame football.
That's a really good way to put it. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So, my feelings towards that game, I still feel exactly the same way. I feel like this is the excitement that we had going into the year. This is, what we expected this team to look like. We knew there'd be some stumbles. Sure. We didn't expect stumbles against Marshall or whatever. We just expected, we're still going to win the games, but we're going to have some where we don't look as dominant as we felt like they should be with everybody that was returning. But I think this was, the stamp of it to get it all started again, and the start that I don't think we're going to see any steps back.
That's a big hope. And that is really the next step is, once you have this kind of success, how do you handle that and navigate it moving forward? And quite frankly, I've never known what that's like before, because this has never happened before.
Right. Yeah.
At least not in my cognizant existence, except for when I was like 8 years old was probably the last time. It's a new dynamic.
Well, get used to it. I hope you like the feeling, because you're going to have this feeling quite often. I'm afraid to tell you.
Oh man. Yeah, I have it. It's amazing how much natural energy it can put in you when you love a football team and they do you proud. Just that like natural energy, like in your soul, where you just feel like the world's coming together and it's all going to be all right. Like, I just needed that boost.
Don't you, after that game, didn't you walk with a little bit of swagger, a little more, your head was held a little bit higher? We ain't out there on that field playing, but that's how passionate Notre Dame fans are about their team, that we felt like we were the winners that night as well.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's a great feeling to have.
Yeah, it really did. And the domination thing was the biggest thing. 618, you're coming up next. The domination was the big thing to me. If I actually picked Notre Dame to win the game in the USA Today Irish Wire picks, but I had it close within a field goal. I thought Clemson had some issues. Maybe we would put it all together and hang in there. I don't know why I had that feeling. But nobody had this. Nobody had this kind of physical domination in all three phases all night. Just winning would have been good enough. The way they did this, that is the best part. It just tells you there is a lot of leverage on the upside of Freeman.
It was a statement game. And that statement went to all the haters out there that were saying that Marcus wasn't ready, or the stage of his first head coaching job was too big being at Notre Dame, whatever. This was the statement game coming out saying, you know what? It's not necessarily all about the head coach. It's about the staff that he puts around him. It's about the players that are recruits, and it's about the culture that he builds for winning. And I think all of it really culminated that what he has been doing is coming to fruition.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time.
Yep. It was it did feel like it just felt like the switch of the Marcus Freeman era just got turned on. Like, it literally just felt like just a totally different team, totally different vibe, totally different energy. It was, I wasn't ready for us to look that good. It was what we've begged for. How many times after Notre Dame's biggest games of the year did we say, why can't we ever just play a really good game in the biggest game? And we did finally, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think, Navy? Do we sleepwalk into Navy? Do you just hand the ball to Estime 40 times? Like what do you do against Navy here with this exciting noon matchup?
Well, so I'm going to tell you, I remember back when I was a young kid living there in South Bend and my parents had season tickets. We play all three of the service academies every year, So my 224, I don't know if you remember it, but back, I think the first time I ever called you was for the North Carolina game. It was prior to the North Carolina game. And I told you I got a 224 number because I was in the Navy. And that was when I was stationed there at Great Lakes. And my last duty station, when I retired in 2018, my last duty station was I was stationed at the United States Naval Academy. I was an instructor up there. And so I was around a lot of those kids. I taught a lot of those kids that was on the football team for Navy. And, they play with so much heart.
Yep.
You're not going to find a program anywhere else that plays with kind of heart that all three of the service academies.
I just think they have a different mentality because of the way those guys are in life. Like they have a totally different mentality on everything: effort, discipline, how they look at the world, structure. Like it's a unique mindset. Do you agree with that?
Well, absolutely, because a lot of those kids, they raised their hand to serve our country, and they know that because I had talks with them about this kind of thing. They graduate and get commissioned and leave to go off and do their military service. They might not ever come back.
Yeah.
A lot of them understand that they're not going to get an NFL career. Very, very, very few in the military.
Right. This is it. Take advantage of these moments.
This is it.
Yep.
So you're damn right. They know that I'm playing something that I love to play because I get that opportunity to now, and then I'm going to go serve my country. So I'm going to give my all, and you're always going to get that. Navy has always been a thorn in our side, even when we had the streak of 42 consecutive years that we had beat them.
Yeah.
They were still, it didn't matter if we were number one in the country, if we were 21 in the country, or we were unranked. Navy has this way of always playing us so strong. There's that, the history of it. And that was always one thing, especially being in the Navy, when it would come around to this week and I'd be like, Notre Dame. And they're like, what? How can you vote? How can you root for Notre Dame? I'm like, well, that's where I grew up. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm in the Navy, but so I'm conflicted a little bit, but born and raised 5 minutes from Notre Dame, so I'm a Notre Dame fan through and through.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a part of your life and childhood way before the Navy even entered the equation. So you kind of had 18 or 20 years of loyalty built in before then anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Now here's the thing though, we're going to talk game, but the thing that scares me every time about playing Navy is because that triple option, it's not the triple option itself, it's the cut blocks.
Yep.
Right?
Well, that's why I say I don't like this game.
So hard.
I respect the history and I hate the way the game's physically played. Both can be true at the same time. I have respect for the story and I hate it. Every year I see it on that Saturday, I hate it.
Well, how do you practice against that leading into it? Because you don't want to injure your guys.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to cut your own guys all week.
To get injured. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw Marcus's press conference where they asked him about that, and one thing he said that I didn't know, which was a rules change, I guess going into this year, you can only cut block on the line now. you can't cut block at the second level.
Yeah.
That's no longer allowed, which is good then. 'Cause
Yeah.
that means now our linebackers are going to be able to stay on their feet a little bit easier because they're not going to worry about that. And he said, you know, we're going to do some things to simulate cut blocking during the week in practice.
Yeah.
He didn't exactly say what, but that's the thing that always worries me about that is if you can't simulate it to the degree that you need to where the linemen are ready for that, when it comes game time, they're lost. And they're trying to learn on the fly, how do I
adjust
defend
to
that
this?
cut block?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but when you look at it, everybody on that line, with the exception of Blake Fisher, since he was injured, they all played against it last year.
Yeah.
So those starters all do know. And so I think they'll be ready. I don't think it'll be an issue. I do think we're gonna run the ball. We'll establish that. And I would like to see us get up and then give Tommy, or let him have some opportunities with Drew in the passing game.
Yeah, this would be a good week
Get
for
a little
that.
more confident.
It'd be a good week for that, and you
This
should have the
week,
advantages, and you should be able to get some things done and build more momentum with that. And you mix that in with a heavy, heavy dose of Estime and Diggs in a power run game. I imagine Michael Mayer over the middle, wide open on drag routes all day. Like, that's what it should look like. That's what it should look like. And one thing I am interested in, and you spoke about it, how do you prep for this? With a new staff and a new head coach, that's always intriguing to me. How you're going to play a unique team that is set up a different way than you're used to the first time. It isn't Al Golden's first time seeing the option or anything, but there is a little bit of anxiety of just, it's the first time we're seeing this staff go through it. How are they going to adjust? But I'm not that worried about it. Like, I just honestly am not. I just think we're going to be able to kind of outpower them and then make a few plays on defense, and then you got it.
Yeah, I think that will happen. I don't see it being an issue because I think what we saw last week, and that being the start of, that Mayer pass to put the dagger in the coffin.
Yep.
Playing from whistle to whistle, start to finish, 4 full quarters. I think that kind of dominance is what we're going to see now week in and week out. And obviously better opponents, it might not look as good, but against the weaker ones, where we would always tend to fall back and not look so good, I don't think we're going to see that now. I know we saw at the beginning of the year with Marshall, Stanford, even Cal, but I think after last week, I think that's where the flip really got switched, and we're not going to see those kind of layoffs anymore.
Yeah.
Or at least not to that kind of degree that we've seen it last 12 years with Kelly.
Yeah.
We're not going to see that anymore.
Maybe a turn, maybe a corner has been turned here. Hopefully a switch is on and it stays on, something like that. So what do you think?
Yeah.
You think a comfortable win against Navy then? Do we cover the spread? What is it? 17 and a half, something like that?
I think that's what it is. And I think I honestly think we're going to cruise. I'd say we're going to go, 48-14, 48-17.
There you go. Yep. Good, solid win. Get a lot done. Get the backups in. Angeli, I love it all. That's a good weekend. I love it.
I think you're going to see Angeli.
There you go.
This will be the week we see Angeli,
Beautiful.
And we need this one going into Boston College, because, again, you've got a very pissed off quarterback at Boston College coming in to play Notre Dame for probably his last chance, Phil Jerkovic. So Boston College ain't good, but they're going to come in pumped up for that game.
Yeah. So I don't know,
get
but
some good backups in now. Get the backups in now. Get them ready, and because I got a feeling that last game, and I know we're 3 weeks away. We don't really want to get ahead of ourselves here, but I think Lincoln Riley is already starting because he realizes that last game, and I'm not sure who they've got the next couple weeks either, but it's going to come down to that game to whether USC has a legit chance still at getting into the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep.
It could come down to that, depending on what happens right in front of them. So he's kind of already looking ahead, and he's looking hard at what Notre Dame just did to Clemson.
Yep.
So
and
we need a couple good solid weeks here.
What makes me feel better about that matchup than I did 2 weeks ago is our secondary played much, much better. It's beautiful.
Oh, they did. Absolutely.
Yep, it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Well, Yep, go ahead.
One last thing, John.
Sure.
So Monday when you and I were talking about, the effect on recruits that were there for the Clemson game.
Yeah.
And you brought up, how you'd heard some rumblings or whatever about the quarterback who ended up committing to Oregon. What's his name from Michigan?
Yeah, Dante.
Dante, yeah. And I said, I wasn't even thinking about Dante. I was thinking about Keon. Have you seen now kind of what's been the chatter with Keon?
Somebody put in the chat that he was wearing a Notre Dame hat and people are getting excited again. I don't know if I can buy in. I don't want to get hurt again.
Well, he came out with I guess he posted his top 4 again on his Instagram page or Twitter or something, and Notre Dame was still in that. And apparently what I'm hearing is that after that game, because, Keon is the one who, for like a couple weeks before he decommitted, he had cut off all communications from everybody, all the rest of the recruits in that 2023 class.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So all of a sudden, Keon reached out to that group. And then that's when the picture showed up.
That's interesting.
And now
that's
I
very
saw on
interesting.
Twitter last night, yeah. So it sounds like a couple of articles I read, some people with a little bit of knowledge on the inside, they're not saying, hey, look, he's coming back. They're not, trying to do that. But what they are getting a little bit of a vibe of is that he's now taken a step back again.
To reevaluate.
He's reevaluating things, and so does it go to kind of what I was saying? Alabama got a second loss, Notre Dame, because he wasn't really feeling
right
things. He wanted to play for Bama. Now that script is all changing, and there's this big rush towards Notre Dame again. So I don't know.
Can hurt.
Can
hurt. A win like this. A win like this is
the winning.
Listen, a win like this is the tide that rises all ships. It just helps everything in every way. It helps. That is a secondary part of why this was so awesome.
And it only helps to knock out these next 3. You knock out these next 3, especially that last one. And then you've got 4 top 25 teams that you beat on the year. Now, we need to hope that the ones we've already beat win out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We need Clemson to win out. We need Carolina to win out.
But you know what? With
BYU,
the 3 losses we have, I'm not that worried about that. I can't play that game of worrying about what they're all doing after we have 3 losses. Like, if for me personally, it's not one of those years where I'm playing that game, tuning into all the other games, see them lose, so we move up. Like, I'm not there personally. But I think you need to win the next 4 games. 3 in a row, a big one Thanksgiving week, and then a good bowl game. And then you go right into that recruiting window. That's the angle. Let's get it done.
Where do you think we need to be then to have it? Because there is an outside shot that we could get a New Year's Six bowl.
Yeah.
On what we do. And we know style points. Style points are big, right? So we just got a whole ton of style points. I think That Clemson game, we got the most style points in a game that we've got in the last 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Combined in one game.
So good, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, we're going to have style points, and it's going to be hard to really earn style points in these next two. That last one out in Southern Cal
it's a big one.
Big one. We need to have another big dominant win. But the reason I was saying, those other teams need to win, because that is going to get us closer towards the top 10 by the end of the regular season. So when it comes to bowl selection,
you're right up
there. We got a better shot at a New Year's Six bowl. That's where I'm looking.
God, could you imagine
those other teams
if
win now?
It's just that blows my mind to think of where we were sitting on the night of the 15th of October. And now we're all the way to the point where a New Year's Six bowl might be on the table. It's a good place to be, my friend. So I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in Baltimore at noon. Really good call. Really good thoughts. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, John. Go Irish. Thank you, brother.
No problem. Call me back again. Have a good day. Take care.
Yes.
Listen, I don't know who Brad Henry is. Brad Henry hasn't been around here long. Brad Henry's in here today, and Brad Henry's trolling the Irish nation. He just is. And it isn't even going to get to me. Look at this. Brad, first off, did you hit 0 instead of 2? Kelly's not 10-0 this year with the New Year's Six game, so I don't know what you're talking about. Do you mean 10-2? Because he's not 10-2 yet either. That would only be after the game's over. So I don't know what you're putting here. Kelly went 10-0 this year. Well, no, he didn't. With the New Year's Six game. No, he didn't. Again, no, he didn't. Notre Dame will go 8 wins or 7 wins with the SY Bowl playing a huge nobody. Maybe. And again, the other thing I can't get people to understand when they give me a hard time, 618, you're coming up next. When they give me a hard time about the Kelly stuff, and it's like, well, look at the losses you have now, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can thank the Kelly roster he left Freeman to deal with year one for a lot of that. Not all of it. Don't come at me. You're blaming those losses on Kelly. No. Anybody who's watched football would admit if there's a coaching change, the new guy comes in year one, he is at the behest of the roster he inherited, and he has to work with it till he has time to flip areas he doesn't like. That's what we're in this year. I am not blaming Kelly for the Stanford and Marshall loss. It is fair of me to say he left key areas in this team in a horrible spot. Bad. 618, let's make it great. You're on the air. Good morning. Hello. Ooh, dropped off on me. I think he was on the train or in a subway or something. Dropped out. 707, we're going to come to you in 1 minute. Let's see. Brad's right about the AY Bowl. Whatever. It's fine. Like, you have to understand, it isn't about this year. You screwed this year by what you did before we even got to Halloween. So whatever, if we made it to a fancy bowl, good for us. But that is not even my main vision at this point. It's just more big picture stuff. Here we go. He's back.
They didn't have no what's name in there. I had to go to that one on 25th. What else they had?
618, I got you. You back?
Okay. Oh, yes, I'm back.
Beautiful.
Okay.
What's going on?
I was the one called in last. Yeah, I was the one that called in last week and said that I had the Irish winning 31-28 last week. But
he said, "Why you ain't getting?"
But right now I'm just calling about them recruiting services. I see a lot of them like On 3. Do they YouTube to us? It seems like they're trying to steer a lot of the kids away from Notre Dame. I don't know if that's what they get paid to do, but it seems like they try to steer him away.
Who are you saying is trying to steer him away? Who's steering him away?
Because I was watching. No, mama. I was watching On3 this morning, and they was like, well, Peyton Bowen, it could have went okay, but he's still gonna take all these different visits. And I'm like, man, he got a little brother that's being heavily recruited. He's gonna take the visits with his little brother.
Yeah, I saw some of that too. And you know what else too? Now that this recruiting business has grown to the point that it has, there are games played all the time with these rankings, with where the players are ranked. And then once they commit to Notre Dame, then they drop in the rankings. Like, there are a lot of things that I have questions about with the recruiting business and how drama gets the clicks rather than just how good you are. There's a lot of it. I know that's just how it is now, but as an older guy, I don't love it all the time. I just don't.
Yeah. And then, the thing I heard the other day that Keon Keeley is back being, back talking to the kids that's committed to Notre Dame.
That's what the word is. That's what the word is.
With a grain of salt. But I never counted him out from once he decommitted. I think he only decommitted just to take these other visits or whatever, these official visits. I never counted him out. And I never, especially with the turmoil that's going on in Alabama. And, if I felt like if he was really not going to come back to Notre Dame, he would have committed to Alabama by now.
Yeah, it's just good, though. Like, a win like this helps everything. It makes people think, wow, look at that Notre Dame thing. Like, a win like this changes a lot of things more than just your record. It does. It's bigger than that. And I hope there's lasting effects from it. It's just a good place to be, man. This was a big, big win for Marcus.
Yeah, and now to Notre Dame, man, I feel I said it, but I was like, well, let's just see after the Clemson win. Well, I feel like they're gonna win out November, and then we will be in the New Year's 6th day.
Man, could you imagine what a great run that would be from Stanford on, finding a way to run out that string of wins and then end up with maybe 10 at the end? I mean, what a great salvage job. This season could have tanked. That would be a great coaching job by everybody.
Yeah, this is one of the best. I mean, Notre Dame defense, man, they're awesome, man.
They were flying around. They were hitting. They were flying around. They were crisp. They were taking good angles. They were gang tackling. They were playing with swag. Like, it was wonderful. It looked great.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time since before Kelly came to Notre Dame actually looked like a faster team than any team from that region. They look faster.
Yeah.
They look faster than Clemson.
Yeah, it was an impressive night. Clemson has some issues too. What do you think about Navy? Are you concerned about that, or do you just figure hand the ball to estimate 35 times, pile up 350 yards rushing? Like, what's the angle this week? Any anxiety about this?
I think they manhandle Navy, man. I think he's gonna have them ready, pumped, and ready, man. That was the beginning of the run through November. I kind of figured that they have some problems in the beginning. New coach, new quarterback, new coaches. Even though I said, like, man, I still feel like I like Tommy Rees, but I just feel like he's not the guy. He's not the OC that we need. He needed to surround himself with an OC that was like, man, that was head coach ready to, leave in either a year or two, but, Tommy Rees doing the best that he can with what he got,
Yeah.
But,
and I was happy for him. I was happy for him. He came down on the field to celebrate towards the end. I was happy for him. That doesn't mean that every quarterback issue is absolved, because we ran the ball for 263 yards. last week. Doesn't mean that now I forgive Tommy for the quarterback problems.
It was
Like,
no need.
that's
It
still
was
an
no need
issue.
for
It's
running
still
yards.
an issue. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
I'm happy for him for last week. But the quarterback part's still a problem. And it's fair of me to point out that that's still in the mix.
And now with Dante Moore thinking about, do I committed to? Once I heard that as an offensive coordinator, I would have said, "Hey, he really don't want to be out there in Oregon. Let's jump back into the bed. Let's jump back in bed, see what we can do to get him to flip from Oregon to come back to Notre Dame."
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but when you win games like this, people are more likely to answer their phone or give you a different look, another look. So I don't know, my friend, but things are trending up. I'm very happy for Freeman, and I think this is just the beginning of something great. Thanks a lot for the call, man.
All right.
Have a good day. Thanks for the call. Mikey Poles. Mikey, were you not in? You told me you were in Australia. 707 next. I think Mikey said he was in Australia at a powerlifting championship the last couple weeks. Been out of the mix. It's nice to have you back. I want to know how your tournament went. And he asks, where does this win rank in your all-time games you've attended? It's really hard to say because I think of these all differently. Like the Bush push experience was magical in its own way, even in a loss. Like the build up to that was special, but then losing the game ruined it. Then if I look at what else matches this that I've been at, the only other thing that's available would have to be something in 2012. You're asking me, where does this win rank all time I've attended? The only other games that really mattered, like to that level, would have been 2012, right? 2020, like nobody was allowed to go in that year. So maybe the Stanford game in 2012 or something. And the reason being, no, Stanford wasn't ranked like Dabo and Clemson. But the point was you needed that game to stay in a championship hunt. And that carries a lot of weight. Because you were in a championship hunt, needed that game to stay in it. That wasn't what this game was, but it was important for a different reason. The Freeman era and what it could be and the high level, getting more out of the team than Kelly was able to do. Those are the kind of things I was looking for. So it's just a little different. Look at this. Mikey won, watched ND whoop Clemson in the morning and went on to win the powerlifting world championship in the afternoon. That's unbelievable, Mikey. Congratulations. V-Dub says 93 FSU game, John. Well, obviously, but I wasn't there. Too young. He said game I've attended, not game that happened. And I was too young to be there. So that wasn't it. 88, I was 4. Would have wasted a ticket bringing me there. Who needs that? Who needs that? All right. Last caller of the day, 707. What's on your mind, my friend? Good morning.
Hey, John. Happy hump day.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this. Are you still riding high? I'm still riding high. I'm in a good mood. And people are not used to it.
I am. I'm optimistic because the main difference that I'm seeing between Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly was that Brian Kelly won the games he was supposed to win. And Marcus Freeman is now starting to show us, at least it's going in this direction, that he's teaching these kids to be ready to play and to close out games. And, he's beating teams that Brian Kelly used to sweat over. Like, if you take a look at the teams that are like top 25, you're talking about Ohio State and University of North Carolina and Syracuse 7-2, and this last Clemson undefeated. If you take away Notre Dame's victories over these teams, Notre Dame is like 32-1. against these teams that are in the top 25. So we're winning the big games where Kelly never could.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was bizarre. Earlier in the season, halfway through, we were looking at it going, this is kind of weird. Notre Dame's played their best against the better cut teams than we have against the worst teams and at home. Like maybe that was all just the early calibration of getting this all going. And then you have the quarterback change and getting the new staff assimilated. Like maybe that's what that was. I just hope we're done with it. Like, I hope we're past all that and we're not going back there and we just keep on moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the difference of the atmosphere among the players that, these kids that are all stepping in and really playing well, at least in the last 3 weeks. I mean, we're just beating teams that are good. And with Kelly, it was a sweat. Like, if you did beat some good teams, it was not like a normal thing.
Yeah.
It was all he could do to maybe win an overtime game or, but he didn't know how to close out, and that was all the way back to Reese's playing days too. Like, it was never a sure thing with Reese in the game.
Yeah.
So that's what I like. And the main difference I see with Marcus is that these kids are playing to close out teams and don't let up in the second half, just close them out.
Man, I couldn't, that halftime scene was a moment for me. And it just told me something different's happening here tonight. We score, then they get the ball, we sack them, the clock runs out, there's the little cheap shot. Our guys were so fired up going in that locker room, up that tunnel. It reminded me of, it wasn't 88 Miami, I know that, but it reminded me of it. And I said to my brother, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I said, there's no way we're losing this game. There ain't going to be some second half comeback or a collapse. I said, these guys are fired up. A switch has been flipped and we're on to something now. And it played out. I couldn't be happier. Couldn't be happier for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I know. I went to 2 of those Miami games in 88 and 89, 89 and 91. And one of those was the one where they had the scuffle going into because Notre Dame was like working out on their half of the field and Miami was going in, for their final sit down in the locker room before they come out for the game. And that's where I loved it, because Notre Dame players just got right up in their face when they thought they could just walk through their workouts. Yep. And Notre Dame was like, I was there watching it. It was wonderful to see that. And I knew then too. And then I think Rocket takes the second half kickoff for a touchdown, one of his 2.
Yeah.
So it was
I think that was 89. I'm pretty sure. Was it?
Yeah.
Or 90 maybe?
Yeah. And I was at that. It was just fun. It was great because I hated Miami.
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, that's easy to do.
We always had those Michigan and Michigan State, Purdue kind of rivalry, USC and all that. But boy, Miami was a flare up of just hatred.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Jimmy Johnson, the whole thing, it was just all just pure, unadulterated hatred. And you want to talk about
right. And it started with Schnellenberger, who was the Miami coach when they beat Notre Dame 58-0.
Yeah. But you want to talk about like a divergence in thought, of just like how you approach life. Like it just couldn't be more opposite. And I regret that I was a little too young to really get wrapped up in that. Any concerns about Navy, or do you just feel like this is a game Notre Dame can overpower them on both sides of the ball, lean on the run game, and then later, if you want to work on things, get Angeli in there? Or is this going to be an annoying Navy game where they're hanging along, eating clock, and we're stressed out? What are we going to get?
Well, I tell you, I'd love to see that happen to where they could put Angeli in for like the second half. But every time I make a prediction of Notre Dame winning this year, I've been disappointed, so I'm not going to say anything. I would just say, yes, I would love to see Angeli get some, quality snaps.
Yeah.
Just because he can come in the second play of the game for all we know,
right.
Like he needs a little time. So if we can afford him a little bit of a lead, in that first half, and by a little bit, I mean, like it would have to be like 31-0, and then, then let him come in and let's see what he can do and play the offense, throw him into it, like let him let them throw it out to Jaden Thomas or Merriweather. You know, maybe that's the next connection for the next 2 or 3 years. Who knows? But
Yeah.
let's see if we can get that.
I'm so happy for Freeman, just as a guy, as a person, as the coach. This proves something. It proved that there's a higher end here at Notre Dame than what we have been used to seeing. And he proved it in year one, even with the dumb losses. It doesn't take away what they did in that night against Clemson and their ranking and who they were. So major step forward. A win like that is the tide that rises all ships. Do you think recruiting's going to see a little uptick from this? You get some guys looking back at Notre Dame a new way?
Yeah, I can't help but think that it's got to help, you know, like especially, you know, the kids that were at that game. I mean, they had to see that.
Oh my gosh.
This is a crazy environment. Like the crowd was nuts, and you know, they played hard the whole game and just crushed them. So I mean, like these kids, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of that? However, you know, with Pine only throwing for 85 yards and a meaningless touchdown at the end was
right.
You know, not showing it. You know, if the quarterbacks or any quarterbacks were there at the game, that would be good because they could say, "Boy, I could definitely beat this guy out as a freshman."
Yeah.
You know, just give me the playbook now.
And you know what else too? Give me that running game and offensive line too. I could do a lot of action. I could do a lot of good behind them.
Right.
Yeah, it's
definitely,
man. This
look
just
at what they have, you know, as far as running backs for the next several years.
I'm telling you, the best part about all this is the worst roster Freeman's ever going to have at Notre Dame. I'm convinced it is it genuinely is. I'm not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating like I do for effect on here. I mean it. This is the worst roster he's going to have in his tenure here. He got them to play this good. What's going to come in a few years when you don't have areas where you look at and say, that's a clear weakness. That's a clear weakness. We don't have depth there. We don't have experience here. This is the worst roster the guy's going to have, and he got the most impressive victory we've had in 25, 30 years. I love it. It's beautiful.
I know, and if only we can find a kid that is really had a good year this year at quarterback for some other school. You know, I know I'd love to say May and Slovic and these kind of guys, but that's the quality you need to be able to beat Ohio State next year. You know, like they need something tremendous at quarterback because the rest of the pieces are there.
Yeah, and that wide receiver room, the other thing is we all have these complaints about the wide receiver room. Next year's going to be interesting. You get into 2 years out of this, it's no longer a weakness. You're going to have talent out there. And you're going to have depth, and you're going to have guys that can jump and run and be athletic and do all the things we've been begging for. That group's going to get better quick. You need to tie this all into a high-level quarterback, and then you're really off to the races, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Oh,
okay,
man.
my friend.
This is a good – I'm telling you, man, you're another guy I thought of. I mean, you call a lot. And in that moment at Saturday night, leaving that game, I was thinking all the people in this chat, all the people who call, I just knew what this meant to this group, all of us. And I'm just so happy for everybody. I really am.
I was thinking of you too, man. I knew you were at the game, and I was like, boy, you must be just freaking out about what you're seeing.
It was special, and the whole family was there, friends in town. Like, it was just a really healthy, good weekend for everybody. So I guess we'll see if we can ride off in a Navy ship this weekend, huh, pal?
I think so. I think it's going to be all right, and I'm looking forward to what's his name coming back in, Jurkovic.
Yeah, he was still hurt though. Is he going to be back? Because he was banged up this weekend. Is he going to be back? Because he was hurt.
I'm thinking he won't want to miss that. So
well, he won
at 80%. I think he'll want to give it a go.
He wasn't playing last week, so I don't know.
Rooting to kick his head in, but then I'll be rooting for him to come transfer over.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for the call, man.
The only thing is he won't. With Reese there, he won't.
Yeah, there you go. Well, enjoy the rest of the week. Give me a call later, and then we'll talk about our dominant win over Navy next time. Thanks, man.
Okay, John.
Take care.
Go Irish.
Go Irish. Weird Phil Yurkovic. That's hilarious, drunk. I love that a lot. Bruce, good to see you in here. The Format Podcast. Go subscribe. Go subscribe. Check it out. Yep, retired soldier, Bruce. Always rooting against Navy for that. I respect your service, Bruce. I really do. Ferris Bueller, I'm not going to say the rest of that because it's a little inappropriate. Not for me, but for YouTube. Although, what does it matter? I can't monetize now anyway, so I should just let it rip until YouTube figures it out. The caller says Kelly couldn't win big games. He just went for 2 and beat Bama. Just saying. He couldn't win big games at Notre Dame. It does not matter to me if he does it at LSU. Doesn't matter to me if he did it at Cincinnati. He never did it here. That's the point. That's the point. When you say Kelly couldn't win big games, yeah, with us. It doesn't matter what he's doing anywhere else. Like, that's the issue. He didn't do it here. Him doing it at LSU doesn't make me want him back here. He would never do it here. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then Brad says, nobody will do it in ND. Wake up. It just happened last week, you idiot. It just happened last week, you moron. Brad, idiot. It just happened last week. The biggest game the program's won in 30 years was last week. Nobody will do that at ND. It just happened. What do you mean that's our point? That's my point. That's my point. Kelly was never going to do this here. Him doing it somewhere else only proves that point more. That we're not seeing eye to eye, Brad. We're not seeing eye to eye, Brad. Can you call me next week? I got to get going, or call me the next show so we can hash this out, Brad. I think we might be saying the same thing, but looking at it totally different ways. Like, it doesn't, do you honestly think ND is 4th ranked? At what? No, I don't understand what you're talking about, Brad. I'm glad you're here, but you're all over the map today. I just can't keep up with it. Do you honestly think ND is 4th ranked? What does that even mean? No. What? Oh, boy. Here we go. Daniel Wade. Good to see you, Daniel. He never dominated a top 14. Obviously, that's the whole point of all this. That's the whole point of all this. And it was the ultimate thing we begged. The number one thing we begged Brian Kelly for his entire tenure was to play a great game in the biggest games and win it. He never, ever did that. Marcus Freeman just did and blew him out. It's beautiful. He's trying to give me a stroke. Yeah, I know. What is a 4th ranked team, John? It's the team ranked 4th. I'm not saying because we beat Clemson, we should take their place in the ranking. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm confused, Brad. Go ahead and give me a call, but it isn't going to be today. I got stuff to do. Arguing with Google's number 1 on the list. Try and get some monetization back on the channel. So I'm going to go try and navigate some of those issues. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Brad, call me back Friday or Saturday or do something. We got to hash this out. I think we're more on the same page than we think. It's just not coming off that way. Congratulations to Brian Kelly. Thanks, Brad. And I'm dead serious. I think it'd be fun to give me a call just to debate stuff. I would love that. So, yeah, give me a call later in the week. That'd be fun. We'll have fun with it. I mean it. I'm looking forward to that. But thanks, everybody, for being here. Sorry, no super chats and all that. It is what it is till I figure it out with Google. Nothing's easy for Always Irish, folks. There's always something. But we'll get through it. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see ya. Stay tuned. I got an episode coming out tonight, wrapping up Clemson. And then I got a Navy preview coming out tomorrow as well. Have a good day, everybody. You take care of yourselves and your people.